Over time, Nigerian banks have faced repeated instances of failure primarily caused by severe liquidity risk, notably during the 2009 wave of bank failure in Nigeria. This collapse occurred following a collaborative investigation by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation into the financial records of 25 banks operating within the country at that time. The result of the investigation unveiled that the financial institutions were in a state of technical insolvency due to insufficient capital, inadequate management of credit risk, liquidity issue, and lack of proper corporate governance. Welcome to Business Point, where we extract the Nigerian economy and the government policies. I am your host, Kikelomo Okere. Today, we will be discussing bank liquidation, the impact on Nigerian economy. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation says it has commenced the liquidation of Heritage Bank PLC. NDIC assures all that it will pay depositors of the failed bank 5 million naira insured deposit. The Corporation Director of Communication and Public Affairs, Bashir Nuhu, in a statement says the liquidation is in accordance with the Section 55, subsection 1 and 2 of the NDIC Act 2023. Depositors of the banks that have alternative accounts within the industry will be paid the insured amount of 5 million naira per depositor using the bank verification number BVN to locate their alternative account, while depositor with the fund in excess of 5 million naira will be paid liquidation dividend upon realization of the bank assets and recovery of debt owed by the bank. Nuhu advised depositors without an alternative bank account in the industry to visit the nearest branch of the bank with proof of account ownership and verifiable means of identification. We will take a short break. We will be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Business Point on Global Television. Today we'll be discussing the bank liquidation, the impact on the Nigerian economy. With me via Zoom is Professor Jonathan Adeyemi Aremu. He's a professor of international economic relations and a former acting vice chancellor of Covenant University, Ota, Nigeria. He is also a consultant at ECOWAS Economic Community of West Africa and on Common Investment Market, Abuja. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, madam?
I'm fine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Sir, what are the challenges banks face in Nigeria?
Well, it's not only banks that are facing challenges in Nigerian economy. It's everyone that is facing one sort of challenge or the other. But again, bank is very central to economic transaction in the country. And that is why the central bank, in collaboration with NDIC, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, usually ensure that healthy bank is very important for the healthy economy. And if they discovered that the prudential guidelines of the bank has not been followed by Heritage Bank, in line with what you just read to us, then they are the appropriate institution to put everything in order. So back to your question, what are the problems faced by the banks? Well, I won't specifically say that banks are facing a special problem which other people are not facing. But what is very important is that as much as possible, bank must work in line with the prudential guidelines as put across by central bank and in line with the enabling law, which they actually signed and comply with when they were registering the bank with Central Bank of Nigeria. So I think that's what I can say, other than saying that what are the problem banks are facing. I think the bank that have been liquidated is not the only bank. And no bank has been saying that, oh, it's facing this kind of problem that's totally different from what Nigeria economy is facing. That's my position.
Okay. What are the causes of bank failure in Nigeria and how can it be addressed, especially now that the Heritage Bank is on the news?
Well, there is no general bank failure in Nigeria. If Heritage Bank is facing a problem due to lack of its inability to follow the guidelines, the prudential guidelines, so we cannot call that causes of bank failure in Nigeria. Most of the time, because before bank failure, central bank do act, and that is what happened when central bank came out to say that bank need to recapitalize. When they discovered that what is happening in the economy demand that we need a very solid banking system. I mean, I've been privileged by my position in ECOWAS as well as in African Union to travel around to quite a lot of countries in the continent, and Nigerian banks are doing well. So Nigerian banks are doing well. So to me, back to your question, that what are the general problem banks are facing? I throw it back. I mean, what are they facing? They are not the only banks in the country. So I don't know. That's just my position.
Okay, the implication
If you
of
say,
NDIC announcement that
yes,
it will cap depositor refund of 5 million naira. Do you think
yes,
the CBN could have intervened much earlier? Because the last time we see such thing like this was in 2009, and now it's happening. Do you think the CBN would have intervened earlier, much earlier than now?
that's a very good question. Well, we are not the one to tell central bank to intervene at any point in time. Central bank carry out, we have banking supervision, we have other bank financial institutions office, we have quite a lot of other regulatory opportunity that central bank have, which you don't have. So to say that central bank should have intervened before now is to prejudge the activity of central bank, or to say that in line with the provision by which central bank is being set up, you should have intervened earlier. I mean, I retired from central bank as acting assistant director of research in 1992. And nobody tells central bank to be able to go and check the books of the banks before they do that. So CBN has the prerogative to be able to determine the time when they are going to go and check and when they have to check. So to say that they would have done it before this time is to say that you want no more than central bank, which I don't think anybody can claim that kind of knowledge.
All right, sir. What lesson should the critical stakeholder be learning from these Heritage Bank issues?
Well, critical stakeholder can be divided into two. Number one, the other banks. Number one, they need to work in line with the prudential guidelines. If them, because CBI has to do its job. Then, what about the people that are banking in the banks? Well, they need to be careful. If a particular bank is showing signs of distress, then, clearly speaking, nobody will have to tell them look for any bank to put your money. So that is what I can say. So I classify the critical stakeholder into two. Those in the banking system, those are the banks and non-bank financial institutions where people keep their money, as well as the non-bank and the people that are putting their money in the banks. So each person needs to be able to take caution. The banks need to be able to make sure that they put their money as appropriate when they are actually investing their money, which they collected from depositors, so that a situation will not arise in which some of these banks will need a liquid cash and then they will not be able to get.
All right, sir. Before you go, sir, what more does this development point to regarding the challenges in the Nigerian banking system?
What?
What more does this development point to regarding the challenges facing the Nigerian banking system?
Well, the challenges being faced by the banking system, just as I said, it's not only one bank that is facing any challenge, right? I mean, Nigerian banks are not bad. That the economy has its own problem apart from the banking something. There's a problem everywhere in the world. So you cannot say that, well, what are these things that the bank is facing? I think, just as I said, the questions are just interrelated. Put your money where you think is safe. And then the bank themselves follow the guidelines, which you say you will follow when you are registering your bank. And then there won't be any problem. That's all.
Thank you so much for your time and insightful conversation. If you're just joining us, we've been speaking with Professor Jonathan Adeyemi Aremu. He is a professor of international economic relations and a former acting vice chancellor of Covenant University, Ota, Nigeria. He is also a consultant at ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States and Common Investment Market in Abuja. We'll take a quick short break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Stay with us. Ten commercial banks in Nigeria contributed a total of 33.7 billion naira to the Nigerian Information Technology Development Fund, NITDEF, in 2023. According to the bank's audited financial report, the contribution, which is part of the statutory taxes, was deducted from their pre-tax profit for the year. While the government have been complaining over the years about the companies not complying with the mandatory payment of 1% of their profit to develop the Nigerian tech ecosystem, the 10 banks' remittance for 2023 may have come as the highest contribution to the fund so far. Last year, the Federal Inland Revenue (FIRS), which collected the tax on behalf of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, says it collected a total of 22.5 billion naira as NITDEF levy in 2022, and it was the highest annual collection as at that time. The cumulative NITDEF levy paid by 10 banks, commercial banks, in 2022 stood at 12.1 billion naira. This made the 2023 payment a 178% increase. All right, let's take a look at the price of food in the market. The average of price of rice, gari, and tomatoes rose 141% in 1 year, the highest yearly increase for the period, according to data from the Selected Food Price Report. According to the data released from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the average price of rice rose 156% to 1,399 naira in 2024 from 547 naira in same period of 2023. Also, the average price of gari, a major consumed staple by low and middle income, surged 135% from 363 naira in April 2023 to 852 naira in corresponding period in 2024. On a month-on-month basis, it surged 13.59% from 750 naira in March to 1,554 naira in April. The selected food price report shows that the average price of food items such as onions, rice, beans, bread, beef, tomato, and garri rose considerably in April, accelerating food inflation to 40.5% in April. The average price of tomatoes increased 17.7% from 960 naira in March to 1,123 naira in April. All right, this is where we draw the curtain on Business Point today. Join us again tomorrow on Global Television. We are on Star Time channel 276. You can also visit all our social media handles at Global TV NG. Till I come your way again tomorrow, I am Kike Lomo Okeri. I celebrate you all.